welcome back to the What the Falk Sunderland Review podcast. 10-man Sunderland came from behind to take all 3 points this afternoon as we return to League One action with a win at Gillingham. And unlike a few games this season, I've got to be honest, there's been plenty talking points, so we won't fart about. On today's show, we've got first and foremost the returning. It's been a while since you've been on, but Jack Shields, he's actually waiting to get ready to go on a night out. Where you going, mate?
Through the town just for a few drinks, but it's 8 o'clock, so I'm leaving it a bit late. But it only takes me 5 minutes to make myself beautiful, Graham. So
takes me a bit longer. Got to be honest with you. Second of all, a returning voice as always. Now a regular voice, really. But Brad Sharp, Brad, are you all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm very good, Graham. Thanks, mate.
Can't complain after a win, can we?
No.
I mean, we can. If you look at Twitter, you can. You can complain.
I can complain from the first half, mate, but I can't complain after a win as a whole. So
yeah, you take it as it is, don't you? And last, but of course, never least, we have our opposition voice, and obviously, no one will be surprised to know that that's one of my best pals on the podcast planet, Matt from Gills In The Blood. Matt, silly question because no one likes getting beat, but in general, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. Had a McDonald's, got a drink. I'm alive.
I've got to be completely honest though, like Matt, I think this is the first time we've had you on after someone have actually beat Gillingham. I was thinking this the other day, I'm pretty certain it's the first time you've done, well, it's the first review podcast we've done of Gillingham, but I think it's the first time where we've beat you in recent memory and you've been on a podcast. So
yeah, because the only other one was at our place last season. Ironically, when we had a red card, but obviously it was weird, wasn't it? Because it was COVID season and no one really gave it.
Can't even remember it, me. I can remember it.
I've got a 7-year-old 2 seats away from me, so I can't swear tonight.
We'll dig straight into it. I think, Jack, without going into the juicy talking points too much, because obviously save the best for last, or at least the middle part, so people stay with us a little bit longer. How are you feeling in the aftermath of the win?
Yeah, good. Never really enjoy playing Gillingham because I think they always cause us a bit of bother. Happy to come out there with 3 points. I didn't think we played too well over the 90 minutes, but as always, the result's the most important thing. We've struggled away from home this season. So yeah, I'm happy with it.
It actually hadn't dawned on me about our away form until I kind of sort of spoke to Matt during the week on Matt's podcast, and that's the first win since MK Don. So yeah, actually quite huge performance aside, I think. Brad, same question to you. How are you feeling in the aftermath without going into the juicy talking points?
I've just about calmed down, to be honest. The last 10 minutes was bloody awful to watch. Because being Sunderland over the last few years, you were just waiting for that goal to go in, where you were just thinking, oh, it's going to happen.
And I've done it a few times, Gillingham, to be fair. There's been a few 2-2 draws. I was like, here we go. Yeah, 96 minutes. And
I mean, even from the off, I was a bit worried after the first 10, 15 minutes. Their big centre forward, I can't remember his name.
Akinde?
He was...
Oliver.
He had that one chance, didn't he, Matt, where he made it himself, flicked it up and put it just wide. Nice volley, and he looked like he was causing all sorts of bother. And in the last 10 minutes, I was like, oh, God, they're going to get a goal here. But I was more proud of just seeing like the character and the effort that we put in. But it was like so much different from listening to your pre-match through the week from what I was expecting based on what Matt said from the season, because I thought Gillingham played actually quite well as a whole.
I always feel like Gillingham will give us a game, though, like you said before. I always feel like it's just, no matter what form we're in or they're in, there's always like a game in it, which is why I'll never take a 3-0 or anything. I might have got a prediction right. I'm pretty certain I said either 2-1 or 2-0. I'm really hoping it's 2-1 because my predictions are horrendous. But Matt,
I got it right.
You got it right. Yeah, so you did. You said 2-1, I said 2-0, didn't I? Shit. Matt, obviously it's a different perspective. There's been a few times this season where obviously we're spoken away fan. It's been a Sunderland win, which is good for us. But how are you feeling after the game?
Frustrated in the sense that we've not got anything when I think we deserve definitely a point. Proud in the sense that we reacted after what was a shocking performance at Wickham last week, where the game's done after 7 minutes. Annoyed that we switch off just before and just after half time. Fed up that your keeper makes an absolute worldie from the Robbie McKenzie header with about 10 minutes to go, managed to get a fingertip onto the post. Otherwise, it's going in, and then it's game on. And I think if we did get the 2-2, I'd have backed us to win it because all the momentum was with us. I'm just uploading my match day live now. It was like the Alamo for the last 15, 20 minutes. The game was played solely in your third. I think there's another penalty as well. I've had a chat with a Sunderland fan on Twitter, who was a very nice fella, and when I said, why would John Akindi go over in the box when he's 4 yards out in the middle of the goal? And he said, because he's shite. So I thought so I said, well, that's a well-educated reply. Cheers for that. But, you know, each to their own.
But you agree with him, Matt. You think he's shite, let's be honest.
He was very good when he came on today.
Was he?
Very, very good. And he made a big difference. He linked up with Dane very well. For me, it's a stonewall penalty. He's just pulling the trigger, and he's had his leg swiped from my seat, and I'm 10 rows back. I'm sure Sunderland fans that are 75 yards away in the town in to tell us it's completely different. But it's, frustrated but proud. And if we play like that more often than not, we'll be fine. And if we play like that Tuesday night, I'd back us to beat Doncaster. But there's something different about Sunderland from your perspective this year. I think that's a game where we'd have probably got something last season, the season before that, you'd have folded. There's a resilience there now. And you were very clever. You went to 4-4-1. It looked like brought on Bailey Wright, and he played right back. But it was another big lump to head balls away and just left the big man up front. And you found a way to get over the line, and credit to Sunderland for doing that. But I think a draw would have been a fair result.
In terms of the first half, Jack, obviously it was a really poor performance first half. Let's not beat around the bush with it. Coming off the back of the Portsmouth game and taking out the Papa John's games, is it a bit concerning that we were that poor, or am I just overanalyzing something?
Yeah, we didn't play well at all in the first half, Graham. Never really got going, never got into the stride. The only flicker that we got was the last 5 minutes of the first half, and that was fortunately for us when we scored. Best move of the game. We produced a really good cross from the right, and in O'Brien's there to kind of hook it into the net, but really frustrating with how slow we were. Do you know what I mean? And you know what you're going to get from Gillingham. They're going to be physical. They're going to be in our faces. They're going to be creating chances and up against it. They're not going to give us an easy ride. They never have done. And we were slow to react. We were second best. Do you know what I mean? Every 50-50 went Gillingham's way. They were the team that were getting balls in the box. They were the team that were creating chances. We had very, very little at all. And I was frustrated at how much we give the ball away. You know, we haven't been like that this season. And thankfully for us, we got the goal at a very, very good time. You know, we seemed to, straight on the stroke of half time. Really, I was thinking going into half time, if we can get in half time 1-0, we can't be this bad in the second half. And luckily, we got the equaliser on the stroke of half time, and it changes the game. And unfortunately for Gillingham, they didn't deserve to go in. They deserved to go in front, but we managed to score a fantastic time.
Brad, sort of same with yourself as well. The first half was poor. We were obviously talking off air about the first half performance. I don't want to be critical after we've won a game of football, because that's just not really fair. And ultimately, we'll have won, so you've got to praise the character, the side. But first half, how concerning was that?
It was very alarming, to be honest, mate. And it was the simple things. 5-10 yard passes just going out of play. O'Nien couldn't pick out a red and white shirt if he tried. Like it was awful.
Second poor league game from O'Nien, that.
Yeah, second in a row. We commented on after the Pompey game that it was his worst. And today's performance from O'Nien, and as much as we love him, mate, that was on par, if not worse, than his debut.
Wasn't improved, was it?
He was awful. And then they summed it up as well. Winchester tried to play the ball down the right hand side, went out of play, and he's just kicked a tuft of grass, like in frustration, because he just knew. He expressed how all of us were feeling. And usually, like, I spoke on Total Sport after with Benno, and I say usually the old saying is a game of two halves. For me, that was a game of 2/3 and 1/3. I think the first half we were completely outplayed in every department, with class or even like physicality. Gillingham were the better side, and like Jack touched on, Gillingham were very unlucky not to go in 1-0 up. The fact that we got a goal just before half time has changed the team talk ever so slightly. Obviously, everyone says it's the best time to get a goal. Your tails are up, and I thought the first 5 or 10 minutes of the second half, Matt, you guys were probably the better side as well. You were pressing us back a little bit, and I think come 53, 54 minutes, I think we got our foot on the ball a bit, and until Embleton got sent off, that's when we started playing better football. We were 1 touch, 2 touch, and we were moving, and we scored a good goal, to be honest. And then when the red card came, it was just all Gillingham. And like Matt said, and I said just before, any other season, even whether it be Gillingham or Fleetwood, anyone like that, we'd have crumbled. And wouldn't have even drawn. We'd have probably got beat. So it is testament to the character. And I don't want to be a downer because we have won, but you have to look at the bigger picture and think, Christ, that's 2 games in a row. We haven't league games in a row. We haven't played that well. And that it does need to improve. But like you say, people talk about a Premier League side when they signs of a good side in the Premier League. If they don't play well and they pick up 3 points on a lesser scale, so in League One, teams at the top, if they don't play well and pick up 3 points, you can sort of see it as a slight positive that you've managed to grind it out, especially with 10 men.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, I'll come to you with a result. I think we spoke about it previously with yourself, and we discussed how your season's not really gone the way that you wanted it to go. And I think, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty certain you said it was a case of this game is important as every game is, but the game on Tuesday is more important. Defeat to defeat in the same way that a win's a win, but does it give you a lot more confidence going in on Tuesday? Was that a different Gillingham side to what you've seen recently?
I think I said on the preview, if we had Mustafa Carriel and Ryan Jackson, we suddenly have pace at right back area, so he gives us an outlet. It means he can get us to the halfway line, and on the other side we've got Muzzy who can carry the ball and get us into dangerous areas, win free kicks. I think he's involved. I'm not sure. I thought he won the penalty, Mustafa Carriel, but Gill's Twitter says it was Stuart O'Keefe, so I'm not sure I've got them two muddled up. But we looked a much better side. Unfortunately, Carriel only lasted an hour. You've just got that, haven't you? There we go. Excuse me. But as frustrating as today is, most people had us to lose to Sunderland. The big one is Doncaster on Tuesday because they're down there where we are, essentially. And we've only won twice in 13 games. We played a couple extra. So we need to start picking up points. And as annoying as this afternoon was, I'm confident that if we put in that same level of performance and just iron out a couple of problems, you can say that we've switched off at the back post for both goals. It's essentially the same ball. It's a diagonal from right to left, and we don't pick up our runner. But I'm going to give Tom Flanagan credit. Another ex-Gills. That's 2 weeks in a row. Marvellous. He's brave and he puts his head on it and he gets his reward. But if we play like that against the Doncaster side that's probably as low on confidence as we are and concedes more than Sunderland and doesn't have as good a players, then we'll give ourselves a great chance. It's whether we can get Carriel and Jackson out on the pitch twice in 4 days after both have been out for the best part of a month and a half. That's my concern, is that they might not be able to start Tuesday night. But it doesn't mean I'm still not frustrated this afternoon, because like I've already said, I think we did enough to deserve a point. If you look at, you can't just look at stats and stuff like that, and we've spoken about what stats are, a good value and what's not, essentially. But I think we've had 24 shots, we've had 8 on target. Your keeper's made 2 or 3 really, really good saves as well. I'm not talking, routine stuff. The one from Mackenzie's an absolute worldie. And yeah, I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. I think we deserved a point, but you scored 2, we only scored 1, and it's a different Sunderland performance in the sense that, like Brad said, how many times did they talk about Man United in the 90s not playing well, but grinding out results and winning titles and winning trophies? And you're going to have to do that a few times in League One. You've been here long enough now to know what League One's about. You're going to have to go to places like Gillingham. You're going to have to go to places like Accrington and Fleetwood, where it's cold and it's open-ended and it's not pretty and it's not nice. And you're going to have to dig in to get results. And you've done that this afternoon. So hats off to Sunderland.
Sounds like because I'm loath to ask this question because it sounds really arrogant, if I'm honest with you. But I suppose there's maybe an element of truth in it, and that's hence why I'm asking, Matt. But Gillingham are one of those sides that, like I said before, always seem to give us a difficult game, and yet this season you're bobbing around the bottom. In general, you've been top end of the middle of the table, if that makes sense. Is there a case that with Steve Evans and with Gillingham, you do raise your game against Sunderland?
Potentially. You can only ask the only people that know that are the players and the coaching staff, because they should raise their game against every opponent, especially when we're struggling down the bottom end. But excuse me, I'd imagine there is something in that for all the smaller clubs against the bigger clubs, if we like to label them and pigeonhole them, because you hear things like, oh, it's this team's cup final, Sunderland are coming, or it's this team's cup final, Portsmouth are coming, or Ipswich. But we're in a dogfight at the moment. We spoke about this on the preview and said that the season's taking shape now and the table's finding its natural order. Well, I haven't looked at the table. I don't really want to, but I'd imagine we're in the bottom 6, probably lower, and we've played a couple of games extra. So at the moment, we're in nothing but a relegation dogfight, and we need to start winning football matches and picking up points quicker than well, sooner rather than later, sorry, and Doncaster as a good opportunity, and then we have to go Bolton next Saturday. So that's another tough game against the side that have probably got aspirations to be in and around the top six at least. So I don't think it's arrogant from Sunderland fans. I think some are. You come across some of that type in every fan base, though, don't you? Every fan base has got a village idiot or a few at least. But generally, the Sunderland fans that I interact with and talk to, sort of realise what League One's about and know why you're there, and you're there for a reason. That's because you weren't good enough for 2 seasons when you got relegated back to back. But to me, it just looks like a different Sunderland this season. I can't get away from that. It looks like a different sort of machine. And when the going gets tough, I think you might have rolled over last season. You know, if we take, for instance, the Lee Burge error for the equaliser at the stadium, a lot that Jordan Graham smashes in, whereas today, all right, your keeper's kicking was crap for 90 minutes. He just kept booting it out of play, bless him. But when he's had to come up with a massive save, he has done, and it's ultimately gained you a couple of points.
Jack, I'll come back to you. Moments in seasons and moments in games, cheeses it may be, is what wins you titles or promotions or trophies. Aidan O'Brien's equaliser, probably undeserved, came at the best time possible. Brilliant ball from Dan Neil. Doesn't surprise me that I'm saying that. How important could Aidan O'Brien's goal be if we go and say half-time 1-0 down and then Gillingham will go looking for the second, as opposed to us trying to be like, bloody hell, thank God we're at 1-1. Let's try and push on, see what we can do. How important do you think that goal was?
Yeah, I don't think we win the game if we don't get that equaliser on the stroke of half-time. I'm fairly certain of that. And I was looking for a reaction because, I said, we're level okay, but we've been pretty terrible for 42 minutes, bar 3-4 minutes, a couple of minutes in injury time before half-time. And I actually thought we got the goal, and I thought we were starting to show like we were going to be on top in the second half, you know what I mean? I thought we got the goal in the second half, and we started knocking about a little bit and, get on the ball a little bit, and we had them on the ropes slightly, just for a short period of time, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And I really felt like I was maybe a little bit cocky and thinking that we could go on and get a third and go, if we were to get 3-1 up and really, consolidate. And then obviously the red card happened, which completely changed the game. Then we got deeper and deeper, and then it was just a case of, can we hang on? But yeah, I thought, overall, did we deserve it? Did we deserve the win? Probably not. I would agree with that. I think Gillingham were very good value for a point, if not maybe a little bit more. But I would also agree with the fact that the ability to grind out results when you're not playing well is a sign, I think, of a team that's going places. And I think that, this team looks like we've got momentum. And, we've only, 2 weeks ago against Portsmouth, we were terrible. Performance was terrible and the result was terrible. Well, today, yeah, performance in patches was good. But the main thing is that we've got 3 points, and now you're looking ahead to Crew on Tuesday night and Charlton on Saturday now. And really, those two, I think, are in the bottom 4, maybe bottom 3. I think they're below Gillingham. So I think now we should be looking and thinking, a chance for us to not only get the result, obviously, see if we can improve the performance, go down to Crew on Tuesday night and get on the ball, create chances, and keep 11 men on the pitch and hopefully win the game.
Brad, I'll come on you for the next one. Again, I don't want to go negative, because it is a positive that we've won it, and I'm really happy with that, despite the things that may be negative with it. But one thing I looked at today that I was a bit concerned by, and I think a lot of people felt the same way, was our bench was full of like bairns, basically, full of kids. You take that away as well. Lee Johnson didn't sound confident that the likes of Broadhead, McGeady, and the like would be back. And I feel like today we'll I've seen a few people comment on it, and I agree with it. I think we missed a little bit of width when McGeady's not there, and I think O'Brien scored today. Yeah, great. I don't know whether I'd want to play there every single week. And these injuries with the likes of Gooch, McGeady out, and Broadhead as well, it doesn't sound like they're coming back imminently. We've got a game on Tuesday. Maybe to try and dampen expectations, but we've got a good squad. We've talked about it. It's getting stretched at the minute. How important do you think it is that we get some of like McGeady, Gooch, and just a little bit of width and the first team players back into the team?
Yeah, I completely agree with it. When you looked at the bench today, you looked and there was Bailey Wright and would you class Denver Hume as a senior because he's been out for that long. And then apart from that, it was the lads who played against Lincoln or Man United under the 21s. But that's what them games are for them lads to get bedded into the first team, and they've done themselves no harm. So in a one sense, yes, I can see what you're saying. When we've said a few weeks ago, we've got 2 players per position, and we've got that little bit of depth, but it just seems like our injuries have all came at the same time.
Yeah.
to the our injuries and now maybe it's a suspension is going to come all at the same time. Where yes, the first 11 is still strong, but then if you start picking up an extra injury here or someone's getting a bit fatigued there, you are looking to the under 23s now. If this was 2 or 3 weeks ago before the Pizza Cup games, I'd have been a little bit more concerned about it. But after watching them 2 games, they're deserving of the chance to be in the round.
All right, haven't they? They've looked all right.
I've enjoyed watching them.
I've
enjoyed watching them.
You know, the kids that were on the bench, you can't say they didn't deserve it. I think, you know, fair play. And I like that Lee Johnson's talked about cohesion between the different levels.
Yeah, even down the under 16s. Even down the under 16s, Graham. There's I think Jamie McAllister touched on it on the pre-match, saying that they were there watching the under 15s Tyne-Wear derby, and they said they could see there they were playing the same way as the first team are, and so they're trying to put it all the way through. So I'm not as alarmed as I would have been, but yes, if we do need to make these 1 or 2 changes in the next game, with it going Saturday Tuesday, we do need them extra couple of bodies back in the side. Yeah. You could see today. I think we played more like a 4-2-2-2. I think we were very narrow. I think they were listening to Matt through the week when he said that they were going to play 4 centre halves, and they've went, "Oh well, we've listened to what they've listened to what the Falk and Matt saying that they're going to play 4 centre halves. We're just going to go narrow," and it didn't quite work. And I think we do miss the likes of McGeady and Yaguch, even Jacko, who could have given us that little bit extra width. But nothing away from O'Brien again. Like you said, he's one of them players where like. He probably is not be in your first team if you asked 100 Sunderland fans. There might be only 1 or 2 who put him in. But when he comes in, he does a job. There was a point, I think it was in the second half, he brought it down on the halfway line. He flicked it over one of their lads and set us on the attack. And he done well today. But yeah, I mean, we need to get these players back. There's no doubt about it. When McGee's fit, when Gooch is fit, when Jacko's fit, when Evans is fit, them guys do come back in, or they're knocking on the door to get back in, especially after the last couple of performances when we've only had, was Evans and Jacko who played in Portsmouth, and they were missing today. Yeah. So they can all be knocking on the door to get a start again. But I'm trying to reflect on the game. I don't think it was a matter of, yes, we've had a few bad individual performances, and Matt touched on it. Flanagan played brilliant today. We've said about him for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Love Flannel.
Oh, I love him a bit. This season, I love him a bit.
Yeah.
But I was starting to think, like, apart from the 1 or 2 stray passes, and like, I think it was full credit to Gillingham. They made us look bad. I think we turned up expecting a bit of an easier game. Maybe it's not the players thinking that, but as fans, we thought, "Oh, we're going to have a bit of an easier game here."
I think they always give
surprised
us. Never think it's easy down in Gillingham. I just never think it's easy.
It's not. It's the Steve Evans way. He's going to set his team up to play like that against us, and it's credit to them because it works. It's worked how many times? At least 50% of the times that we've played them, if not more. And from the outside looking in, from a flip side, when we usually ask how opposition fans think of us, Matt, based on what we've seen of you today compared to teams we've played this season, you've got no worries. Like, you're miles better than teams we've played, without a doubt.
And I feel like that quite often with Gillingham. We talk about injuries a little bit. We talk about players that are going to be out. One player that is going to be out is going to be Elliot Embleton. In my opinion, that's, no matter what your thoughts are, which we're going to come on to just before we finish, there's no chance that's getting overturned. But Matt, I'm going to come to you first, because I think there's been a discussion with Sunderland fans where 50% think yes, 50% think no. There's maybe like a 10% in between that, where there's a thought process that maybe Steve Evans helped it. But I'll come to you first, Matt. What was your thoughts? Is it a red card for you? Straight
away, red card. I jumped up. I was recording. I said, "There's a red card. I don't know who it is, but it's deserved. He's late. He's out of control." And if Jack Tucker doesn't see it, I think Tucker manages to catch a glimpse of him coming and starts to half jump, which means the contact's not. If Jack Tucker's legs are planted, it's a leg breaker for me. So I don't think Elliot Embleton's. excuse the pun, he hasn't got a leg to stand on, which Jack Tucker wouldn't have done if he'd not seen him coming. It's an absolutely horrendous challenge. Any Sunderland fan, that if that's the other way round, a screaming red card, 100%. And if they're telling me they're not, they're fucking lying. It's an absolute stonewaller of a red card. It's a horrible challenge. He's out of control.
I think it's reckless. But
the correct
Brad
decision.
Brad disagrees, don't you?
I said orange card. It's like
Sin
I
bin.
think it was he was late, and as soon as he set off to put the challenge in, I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, don't do it!" And he has, but without Evans going on like someone's nicked his last Yorkshire pudding and screaming, and then your centre half running the length of the pitch, and 6 lads surround the ref. I think it made his mind up. And now, if you listen to Lee Johnson's interview, the 4th official and the linesman on the headset was saying yellow. Now, I've watched it back. Yes, he was late. I'm not going to deny that. It's very immature for me, but he's a young lad.
Comes back what we always say. We had a red card the other week, though. If you're putting yourself in a position where you're giving the referee an opportunity to send you
That's
off,
the one for me.
Then you're stupid.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from with it. Evans probably has pushed it if the ref's thinking yellow, especially if he's been thinking it previously. But for me, I go with what Matt said in the sense that if Matt says if it's on our side, I'm going mental about that.
Lee Johnson's telling the 4th official it's a red card if it's the other way around, 100%.
Yeah.
If he gives a yellow, it doesn't get re-looked at. So like sometimes they say that the referee's got it wrong. But the fact that he's given red, it's probably because it's that far down the middle, he'll go with the referees on like the on-field decision. So we have to accept the fact he's going to be out for 3 games. It's like one of them.
Oh, it's happening now.
You've seen awful red cards where you're like, fucking hell, he has nearly broke his leg there. Like you say, if his foot was planted, potentially, but when you watch it back, he's pulled his studs out and all I can say, it was very late. And
you've talked yourself into the fact you think it's a red card, Brad, haven't you, by accident?
No, stonewall yellow.
I always judge it by when one of our players makes a tackle, what was my reaction? And my reaction was I started saying yellow, as if to say like, please give me yellow. That's usually my indicator that I think my player's in trouble if I'm shouting yellow, if I want the referee desperately to give me a yellow card. I always think that's probably a sign that I'm worried about what the colour of the card is going to be. So I thought it was a red, and I thought it was stupid the way he went in. There was no danger on. The lad's on the halfway line practically. Elliot Emble's maybe got a little bit keen. I think he took a bad touch and he's gone in, he's jumped in, and I thought it was a red. I don't think it's the worst tackle I've ever seen. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, you'll see probably worse tackles in League One, but I don't think, pointless appeal, and that was a red, and I don't think it's getting overturned.
You'll definitely see worse red cards in League One. But before we finish, obviously, because Ward Jack's got a night out to plan, quick one, really short response to this, I suppose. In the context of the season, Matt, what does that mean for Gillingham?
Not a lot. No one, like I said, no one was expecting us to beat Sunderland. We've been rubbish all season on the whole, based on league position. You can watch games and say we was unlucky here, we should have won this game and that game, but we're 5th, 6th bottom for a reason. We're not winning enough football matches. So Sunderland turn up, they're 4th, games in hand, Sunderland win. Anyone's having a bet. If you're doing home way or draw, you're putting Sunderland in your acca, aren't you? So
yeah,
it's not it's not going to have a big bearing on where we end up this season. Doncaster, like I keep coming back to, is massive on Tuesday.
Jack, before I let you go and enjoy your night in tonic, because I know it's going to be tonic. For you, what does that result mean in the context of Sunderland season?
Yeah, it's good. Away win, which we haven't had many of, Graham. Not the best of performances, but we grounded it out. I always think that's a very good sign. And, after the horrendous show at Portsmouth a couple of weeks ago where we were battered, it's nice to get back to winning ways. Tough place to go, Gillingham. Matt touches on that they're not had a great season. They're not playing well at the minute. They're not getting results. But I always think if we can get wins at places like that where we've struggled, it's a good sign. So happy with it. And hopefully we can get the performance better in the next couple against Crewe and Charlton.
And Brad, you get the final word in the context of Sunderland season. What's your thought process?
Still like a broken record at the minute there, because I keep saying it just shows a big defeat the other week against Portsmouth. We've showed a bit of character. After the red card with 20 minutes to play, they've dug in and we've managed to grind out a win. So it is a big win, but we need to get back to thinking like it was before Portsmouth was at Cheltenham, where we've took them to bits. We need to get back to playing that type of football where we're not holding on towards the end. But in the context of it, mate, it was just nice hold on to. And I said, me and my mate were watching it. We said sometimes them type of wins are more satisfying than going out and tonking the team 4 or 5-0.
Yeah.
It's like it's been,
What's that like?
What's
that
Good
like?
fun. Good fun.
No,
it was boring.
The once every 4 years it comes along. Yeah, I take a last minute winner. I take today's win over a 5-0, which sounds ridiculous, really, but that is the life of a football fan. I get where Brad's coming
that's how
from
I felt like sometimes when you're watching it and it's like 5-0 and you're like, do you lose interest? You know what I mean? It's just like game's over. But that one, we were just like, fucking hell. And then you keep looking at the clock and you're going, oh God, there's only been 30 seconds and they've had 4 shots. So it was just one of them things where you look at it on the whole and you look back, and we might look back at the end of the season and say, that's one of them games where we've picked up 3 points we probably didn't deserve, and they're the ones that have got us over the line.
Yeah, you'll take it. I'm happy with it. I'm happy to be back with a win. I didn't like doing the 4-0 Portsmouth one. That was grim. For anyone listening, obviously, as always, I think when you own a podcast, you meant to say subscribe or something. Own a podcast like this thing makes me money. Fantastic. But yeah, I've been Graham Falk as always. Jack has been Jack, and he's buggered off. He's gone off. He's away at tonic already. He's halfway there. I know obviously we don't do this in video form, but he's got a nice red and white shirt on, so he's true to form. Matt, we can find Matt at Gills In The Blood on Twitter and all over the shop. I'm sure you guys know exactly where to find him if you listened to this before. Brad, thanks for coming on yet again. Enjoy the win, everyone, and thanks for listening, I guess. Cheers.